Boys, girls, all my trombaholics out there, welcome back to Other Roberts. I'm the other, I'm Joe, and we are talking Fear, The Walking Dead. Not even gonna attempt to pronounce that title, but season 2, episode 3 of Fear. And although not a lot went down in terms of story, we got a lot in terms of character development, which is desperately what the show needs. So, although it was kind of a slower episode, I think it was one that was needed, and it's very justifiable for being at this point. And I think we needed this. But we have everyone on the boat, and they see in the island, very very simple story. In this episode, they see the little island, uh, and they see items from the flight, which we learn is Flight 462. But we see a bunch of items on an island. They go get them. Really simple. Uh, but this did a lot, and now actually our characters know about you are if you're covered with the walkers' blood or guts, whatever, then they don't see you. Which in Walking Dead, I think we got that in the second episode, if I'm not mistaken. We found that out very early, and this show is going much slower. This is an earlier time than we got with Walking Dead, and we're starting to see these things come later. So we got that reveal with Nick, who Nick is becoming one of the best characters on the show. Really, they're making him out to be the Glenn in terms of he wants to go and save everyone. We've seen that throughout this season, but he's just so interesting in that he kind of has no fear, and no pun intended with the title, but he has no fear, and that's coming out. And he's a very resilient guy. We saw what he went through in season 1 and how far he's come in season 2, and I think we need to keep our eye on him to see where he goes from here, because he continues to be one of, if not the most interesting character in terms of growth. So although Nick wasn't probably the centerpiece of the episode, we did get a lot of Nick, which is good for the show. Nick is one of the better characters. We also had the mystery continue with Strand, and really what to expect from this guy. My guess at this point is we're starting to see how Shane became the villain kind of in season 2 in a way. He was more of an internal villain. I think we're getting that with Strand. I think he's going to be the villain by the end. I don't know. It's very interesting, and I actually love how in Walking Dead you didn't really have as many trust issues in terms of the core group that this show has. This show, it's really untrustworthy between all of them. It's just no one believes each other, and you have the family with Travis and Madison, and you have that kind of group, and then you have Ophelia and her father, and then you have Strand just as a lone wolf. And although Ophelia and her father and Madison, those two families are kind of together, they're very separate. And you see them each kind of having their own secrets at this point. And especially at season 2, you would feel like these characters would kind of be one right now, and it doesn't feel that way. And that is a more interesting dynamic than I think we would have expected with Fear in terms of the core group, because we never really got that in Walking Dead. In the beginning, we've had that with Alexandria, but right out the get-go, you run into these people and you can't trust them. So, and to live with them really, and to go through all this with people you can't trust, how is that going to really fare for you in the long run? And that's really kind of the game they're playing at this point. You see the secrets starting between all the different groups, and Strand is just one big secret. I mean, I love this character. He tells Madison what seems to be a completely bogus story about this house that's magic getaway Yeah, it's not real. And what's the deal with him? Who do you call on the phone? Where are they going? Just he continues to be the most interesting character, and we know the least about him, really. And I'm looking forward to seeing a lot more with Strand. And like I said, I think he might be the villain of the season. We'll have to see. Really, the last big thing I wanted to talk about was, well, two little points. One little point. The little point being Flight 462. We actually saw that, and it all that led to this, and just this. It seems like we get Alex and Jake, who we feel like we kind of know at this point because we saw them the entire season of Walking Dead with Flight 462, and that's it. Uh, we see them kind of get cut off from the group at the end by Strand, which was a very interesting move, and really just isolates himself more by doing that. And he seems like he has a reason. It's not just taking on more people they can't afford it. No, he seems like where they're going, they might not expect him to have people with him. Period. So he might be trying to keep the numbers down. Is kind of what I'm thinking. It seems like he was kind of worried to have them come aboard. It just more than the sense of, oh, it's more mouths to feed. So it's really, really just adds to the mystery there. But Flight 462, is that it? Is that all we get from that? That's a shame because I was really looking forward to seeing Alex, and Jake seemed like he was pretty much done. But Alex seemed like she could be something. So that seems like a huge missed opportunity if that's the end of it. I would like to think that it's not the end of it. I want to see that continue. But with that ending, that was doesn't look like it's going to. But we'll have to see with that. And then the other point, and this is a bigger point going forward, is Chris had his first mercy kill, and he's. Alicia said, "Oh, you killed one in terms of a walker," but then they all actually kind of killed some after that. So I thought they were going to kind of go somewhere with that, but that got derailed right afterwards because all of them were just killing walkers. But he had his first mercy kill, and he kind of did it just without thinking twice. He kind of just did it, and he's becoming one of the coldest characters, and we can see why, what he's been through. But we see Nick, who, from very, very rough beginnings, is blossoming into a very strong, independent, um, fearless character. And in the same sense, we have Chris, who had pretty good beginnings, and now he's just kind of derailing and going into his own kind of way. And we see two characters who, at first glance, they could look like very similar characters. They look like they could maybe be related in themselves, and similar in kind of size and just age. And they're two very similar characters in that sense. But then you see where they're going, and it's in two totally different directions. And that's one of the most interesting parts to me. What's going to happen with these two? I see the two of them butting heads at a point because uh, Chris is kind of developing this cold attitude where Nick is very opposite and wants to help people. And we can say that Chris did what he did to help the guy. It was a mercy kill. However, it was just I think there's more than meets the eye there. I think, although yeah, what he was doing was right. I think he wanted to, and he wanted to get that out of the system. We see him, and we saw how he just kept going, and he seems to be a very angry character. And like I said, understandably so, but it doesn't seem to be going away, and seems to be kind of manifesting itself into violence. So really, really looking forward to seeing what we get with Chris and Nick. I actually wasn't the biggest fan of the character of Chris early on, but now, past few episodes, I think he's starting to turn into his own character. I'm looking forward to seeing where that goes with him. But that's pretty much all I'm going to say for this week's episode of Fear the Walking Dead, Season 2, Episode 3. Let me know what you guys thought of this week's episode down below. Subscribe, because it takes around that much effort to do so. And until next time, you have been traumatized.